The Trump administration announced a new round of global tariffs affecting dozens of countries, including Canada. But this comes as no surprise. These tariffs are meant to replace the ones struck down by the U.S. Supreme Court back in February.
These are tariffs that we have heard about in the past, and that they had been expected. You know, that context that you mentioned right off the top is really important, because right now there is that 10% global tariff that is in effect, and they were brought in after the U.S. Supreme Court struck down a wide swath of other tariffs, and they were imposed back in February, but there was always a set time limit for them. They were always set to expire, and that is going to happen tomorrow. So what the Trump administration is doing is they're bringing in these new tariffs under Section 301 of the U.S. Trade Act. And what they're saying is that they're slapping dozens of countries, including Canada, with these new tariffs because of forced labor practices, because these countries import goods made by forced labor.
In 2018, when we redid NAFTA, one of the new provisions we forced Canada and Mexico to take was their own prohibition on forced labor. So in USMCA, we obligated them to do that. A few years later, we're finding that they aren't actually enforcing that. So they're included in this action.
The U.S. saying that Canada does little to stop the import of those goods made with forced labor, but Canada has pushed back quite strongly, saying that they don't believe there's any basis for these Section 301 tariffs. In effect, it seems like there will be no change at all, and that's because this new levy would be a 10% levy, but goods that are already compliant with CUSMA, they would be exempt. So the vast majority of Canadian exports, they won't be affected. Really, this is just a different legal avenue for the U.S. to impose a new tariff on countries like Canada.